right, welcome into episode number 54 of Tunesday Tuesday, brought to you by the Boston Chris Show. I am your host, Boston Chris, and this week on episode 54, we have singer-songwriter Randy C. Moore is my guest this week, and really stoked to chat with him. Let me tell you more about Randy C. Moore. He is a Texas music artist and a 2022 European Country Music Hall of Fame member. Randy is currently blazing a new trail into the Texas music scene as a feature in the Lone Star State's big market radio stations and major festivals. A native of Humble, Texas, at 15 years of age, he was making his own records. And with the help of Houston radio personality Arch Yancey, his first single releases were receiving significant Texas radio airplay. In addition, he was also a regular feature of the world-famous Gillies and also a feature of Astro World's Country Gold Show. By the time he graduated Humble High School, Randy was a guest star on WSM's Grand Ole Opry, hosted by Roy Acuff. He attended Belmont University in Nashville for modern recording and pro songwriting, and all the while he was opening shows on the road with Hank Williams Jr., David Allan Coe, Amy Grant, Vince Gill, and Leanne Rimes. His songwriting career teamed him up with Nashville greats like Restless Heart, Pat Bunch, David Lee, and rockabilly legend Carl Perkins. In October 2001, Randy was a featured guest on the Alliance of Neighbors benefit concert with Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, Phoebe Snow, Joe Ely, and the Smithereens. And Randy performed with a backing band composed of Elvis's rhythm section. And Randy's most recent writing success is the Ronnie Milsap Vince Gill single Big Bertha, which is from Ronnie's 2021 LP, co-written by Randy, Carl Perkins, and DJ Perkins. Alongside Randy's live Texas-wide touring schedule, he is also host of the worldwide radio show Neon Music Country Legacy. Randy C. Moore now makes his home in Lufkin, Texas, and we are excited to chat with Randy here tonight on the 54th episode of Tunesday Tuesday. Without any further ado, let's get into it with Mr. Randy C. Moore. Randy, how are you, my friend?
Great. How are you, Chris?
I was just telling everybody about you, man. Reading all of the crazy life you have led through your website and all the cool stuff you've done over the years.
Well, they couldn't find anybody else to do all that, so I had to do it.
Yeah, somebody has to step up and be the cool guy, right?
I don't know about cool guy, but I do know about a guy who learned that if you want to stay busy, before you pick up the phone while it's ringing, the answer is yes.
It's always yes. That's right.
And then when you hang the phone up, you go, okay, now I got to figure out how to
figure it out. That's right. Fake it till you make it. But you always say yes. That is a key component in this business, right?
Yeah. Never turn down a battle assignment.
That's right. That's the way it is, man. So Humble, Texas is where you grew up, huh?
Yeah. It was a small town back when I was there, and now it's been sort of enveloped by the Houston area. Everything around it now is Houston, and Humble is still independent of Houston. It's very strange, but it's kind of neat. The little downtown area still looks the same, but everything else looks kind of different. So,
yeah, I think the big cities are devouring everything in Texas, it seems. Like, even close to me, Tyler seems to be taking over everything around it even, you know?
Yep, Tyler's, when I go there, I'm looking at the traffic and I'm going, this doesn't look like Tyler to me anymore.
No,
this looks like a suburb of Dallas.
Yeah, I joke to my wife all the time that I think Tyler means drive to the next red light in Latin. I hate going there so much, man. Look, I've known of you for a long time, Randy. We've been friends on Facebook since I think Facebook was even dreamt of. It's been a long, long time, but I don't think we've ever met in person, so this is really cool for me.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And you have a brand new single that we're going to be chatting about here today for a little while. And I want to get into that in a little while. But the single is a cover. And I know you're a phenomenal songwriter. So what was the choice for that? Like, I know that as a recording artist, you only get so many spots to record. So, what was the choice in recording a cover song rather than an original for your single?
Well, it all I sort of backed into the song as it were. Um, my friend, who is a film producer, um, called me, and he had already done a film on the artist Harry Chapin, and he was doing another one. They commissioned him to do another film about Harry Chapin, and what they wanted him to tackle was the song "Cats in the Cradle," since it was 50 years old, and so he turned out that he wanted to crank out this documentary that sort of, I don't know, sort of covered all the bases and everything that has to do with that song, simply because it's been around so long, it's affected so many people, and um, then of course a lot of Harry's Chapin's contemporaries wanted to get in on this too. Um, so he called me and he said I'm working on this film, and it's about the song "Cats in the Cradle," and I wanted to get your insights on it, to see if it relates to your life, or if you know, as a musician and as a creator and all that kind of stuff, what your take is on this song. I said, well, I said, who else is in this film? He says, I've got Billy Joel, who's in it. He said, I've got Judy Collins. I got Robert Lamb from Chicago. I got Dee Snider from
Twisted
Quiet
Sister.
Riot.
Oh, Quiet Riot, yeah.
So, and Pat Benatar. And so he keeps reeling these names off. And I said, are you just trying to get me in here to sort of even out the ratings so they kind of drop it? He says, no, I really respect what you do, and I love what you do. And Rick and I, the guy's name is Rick Korn. He's the producer. Rick and I have worked on some screenplays and stuff together. And he used to work with Carl Perkins a long time ago. And so he and I met up through Carl Perkins, and because I wrote songs with Carl and was friends with him as well. So anyway, I told Rick, as we were going over the idea of me actually appearing in this film, I said, well, I actually do this song. I've been singing it probably since it came out, because I've always loved the song. It's just like a staple of my live performance stuff. And, even to this day, I can't do it without looking out there and seeing at least about half of who's out there listening, mouthing the words or singing the song, because it's so very familiar to people. It's kind of on their insides.
Yeah, it's iconic.
Yeah. So he said, go ahead and play it too while we do your spot, do your interview, and do your segment. So I played it, and I did it right here in the studio, and I had all my gear set up. So I decided, well, if I'm going to play this thing, as we'll record it. What the heck? They might actually need a different copy for something. I don't know why. So I ended up listening to it after the interview and everything was over with. And I thought, well, this actually doesn't sound too bad. So I got together with a friend of mine. His name is Barry Sanders. He's not a football player, from Detroit, and he's an engineer and producer in Nashville that I've known for a long, long time. And I said, Barry, I've got this track, and I said, I've layered some stuff on it, and I said, do you think you could help me finish this? And he goes, absolutely. And Barry, he knew Rick, and so that was one of the reasons why I involved him in this project as well. So finished the record, sent it back to Rick, and Rick immediately gets back to me, a couple of days really. I didn't think he would listen to it that soon. He listens to it and he says, hey, I just played this for Harry's brother and his family and
Wow.
his kids, and they really love this version, and they think you should put this out. And my thoughts really weren't to actually put it out. My thoughts were to have it for posterity, because when the film comes out, which did come out on November the 4th, just recently, then I would have this, and it would be in the can, and I'd be able to do something with it. He said, no. He said, you should release it. Go ahead and release it. So I released it around Father's Day of this year. And it was fortuitous that I did that, because charting a record on all these different charts and everything, it's a lot like playing a huge game of bingo.
Yeah.
So you get these numbers here and you get this number there, and it's here and it's over there, and so you're kind of, it's kind of a coordinated effort, and it's done pretty well so far. And then the film came out, and it's done even better. I've had even better response on the actual single itself. So it wasn't my intention to ever do a cover, and I will say, and your next question might be, or it might not be, because I've been asked this before. Weren't you kind of like, didn't you have some trepidation about covering such
Iconic song.
an iconic song, a track that everybody really knows in their head?
It's risky for sure. It's definitely a risk. Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, my answer to that was, well, that's always a huge consideration, because I've heard a great many contemporary artists ruin a great many great classic records and songs simply because they wanted to kind of make it their own and put their own signature on it. And quite frankly, a lot of people, they'll lose themselves, or they'll lose the actual, what the actual essence of a record or a song is. So I tried to make sure I was careful with that. So I always tell people, I did something that I wanted to make sure that I got ownership of the song without taking anything away from the original owner.
See, that would have been my next question, not the one that you asked. I would have asked, how did you put your own staple on it, your own stamp on the song, without losing the essence of the original song that it was? That would have been my question, because I imagine that's going to be the hard part of delivering the song again, right?
Well, the problem that anybody faces, and I get it, okay, I totally get it, but there's very few artists who have ever come along who can actually take a song and make it their own, where you just go, wow, did that guy write that song? Was that his song? I mean, Jerry Lee Lewis is a prime example of a guy who was able to take songs from Hank Williams and different people like that, and you would swear, I've never heard that, but that's the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Ray Charles. Ray Charles could completely make a song his own. So it's a really fine line that you have to walk as being a stylist and an artist, not to jazz something up so much that you sort of lose what the actual feeling and the actual emotion of the lyric and of the song and of the music actually is supposed to do.
Do you think generational distance helps with that? Just having some time, a good amount of time between the original release of the song and kind of releasing it now 45, 50 years later to an entirely new generation of people, music fans essentially?
Maybe. I mean, that's a valid statement, because there is so much time, but I mean, this is 1974 we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's that song too that people are leaving alone for. I mean, It's an iconic song, right? So,
I will say it's been covered, quite a few other times. It's been covered by Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Ugly Kid Joe had an actual record of it.
I remember that. Yep.
And, made a staple of it for their own. So,
but we're still talking generations ago. Like Ugly Kid Joe is the last one, and I mean that was the 90s, Randy.
90,
yeah,
the 90s.
Yeah.
So, and when you say the 90s, I keep thinking that wasn't that long ago.
Actually, we don't have to talk about that. We'll move to the next subject. Yeah, we don't have to talk about that. But yeah, I mean that is a couple generations ago. Just that, right? So. I can't, off the top of my head, think of a mainstream artist that has covered the song since Ugly Kid Joe. At least not recorded it. They might play it live, which is a completely different thing, right?
And there's a lot of those too.
Sure,
a great many folk artists, really prominent folk artists, actually covered the song at one time or another. So, so you're not veering off the track of reality on that at all. But for some reason, everything just kind of came together. Just really. This is what was kind of intriguing about making that. I actually just played it live. So everything that I played to the record, I had no guide whatsoever. I just kind of had to listen to where things were going, because it was moving around a little bit. But I've gotten to where I play enough with the headphones and under the mic with the studio thing and the click tracks and all that. I've gotten to where my hand and my timing is pretty steady. So it didn't go too far off.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I want to tell people out there who may know who Harry Chapin is. First of all, great, great songwriter, incredible artist. This song is kind of Harry's signature hit, obviously. It's an iconic global song. But I really implore people to kind of dig into Harry's other stuff because, oh my gosh, you will be blown away.
Yep.
The guy was just an incredible, incredible lyricist beyond this song. I imagine, Randy, when you hear from Harry's family that they enjoyed the song, I imagine that's probably the only opinion that matters at that point, right?
Yeah, to me, because I don't really know that I would have had the fire built under me to actually have pushed it all the way into a release, especially an early release. I just, um, to me, I'm not saying it would be disrespectful just to do it, whether they cared about it or not, but it really does help. I'll say that
Sure.
it
Yeah.
may have a lot more. It makes it easier for me to have the confidence to do something that I feel like that they feel like is a good thing
Yeah.
with Harry's music.
And
So
having those words in your corner too is going to help you kind of probably weather the criticisms that are bound to come, right? I mean, there's going to be people out there that are not going to like it regardless. But
I,
if the family of the original artist is down and they were kind of the catalyst in you even releasing it, like that's
yeah.
probably really quiets that crowd in your ear, right?
If I listened to criticism,
Oh, I know.
I'd be pumping gas at the Gulf station.
Yeah.
So that's the, I try to pride myself on being as careful, or at least as care be, being a care person who actually cares about what's going on to I don't know, because music in itself, especially music that's for the radio and music that's basically sold. I mean, it's really music is sort of it's kind of an exploitation, especially because it's a business. Um, but every now and then things come along that they sort of transcend all that, and I feel like that Harry's songs and especially Cats in the Cradle is one of those things that sort of transcends all those things of like, well, we need a commercial song and we need something that's catchy and we need it's like, you know what? I already know all that. All I got to do is sit down and finish this thing because I
Hmm.
got this. And I think I feel the same way. I think you get to a certain point as a songwriter and as a recording artist, you get to this point where you go, okay, I've had plenty of input. I've done enough of this to where now all I got to do is now I got to shut out all the voices and I just got to follow my instincts, follow everything that I've learned and all my insides and just pour them into this darn thing. And that's really kind of what happened on this because it was a live performance and it was it was a good emotional performance, and I was glad I was smart enough to just set up the mics and be able to capture it.
Yeah, I love that it's doing well in Texas too, right? Because I mean, you are
Yeah,
a Texas artist, and that's kind of it's not a new thing, but it is kind of a new thing for you as well. Being, you talked about the charts earlier. This song in specific is 71 right now, I think, on TRRR, which I
yeah,
think is awesome because this is not a country song originally. I
no,
mean, if you squinted enough, you could probably get there, maybe, but it's not a country song. You've definitely countrified it, and you've definitely Texified it too, I think. But what do you, as an artist, covering this song and the song meaning so much to you? What's it like to see the reception of your contemporaries, the different radio stations, and the chart success and stuff like that? Do you even look at that kind of stuff?
I do, and it's I will say that it's highly gratifying because, as you well know, um, and I'm preaching to the choir on all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many records that come out now, so many
Hundreds and
people,
hundreds at any given time.
and it's
Yes.
like to basically get separated out of that and get into the rotation and getting to something that's a programmer, a disc jockey, a podcaster, somebody who has a syndicated show, any of that being added to that is like that's a huge tip of the hat.
Yeah.
So I don't take any of that for granted. On the other side of the coin, I don't really pay attention to chart action. Like I don't base my emotional responses, nor do I base my musical decisions on. Oh well, it didn't chart because it didn't have a fiddle on it, or it didn't do well because I don't even do that.
I
That
like that. Yeah.
that's not me at all. What I try to look for is what's the best thing I can do with this right here that is going to make a difference, in whoever is listening to it, regardless of whether it's being featured in a chart or whether somebody's just streaming it, or heck, if I'm playing it live.
Yep.
What is the one thing that I can do to make a difference? Because my job essentially is to make people feel better for just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit of time. I get them, and if I can make them feel better and make them feel like that they're feel something good or feel something even sad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna cut you off. It's not to make someone feel better, Randy. It's to make them
Yeah,
feel.
yeah,
Period. The period
yeah,
goes right after the word feel. Just make
yeah,
it's your job to make people feel. That's a songwriter's job, and ultimately your goal, right? I mean, that is your as an artist and a deliverer of a message. You just want to make people feel, whether it's sadness, gladness, whatever that emotion is. If somebody walked away in their feels because of you, you're successful, right?
and truly, that's probably the top tier of the gratification for all of this.
Absolutely.
There's all sorts of you know A, B, C, D, E, F sub deal, all that go down through this kind of thing. But I think the very top one, I think it would be, if it was a term paper, I think this would be the thesis.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
is,
So,
is make sure you get that feel across.
yep. And guys, you'll notice usually I'm a little more biographical in my interviews. I'm not going biographical with Randy this time because I want to do a full episode with Randy in the future. Randy, you may not know, but I have live, which is what we're doing now, and then we have pre-recorded episodes, which is a completely different platform called the Boston Chris Podcast. And I'm hoping to have you over there. That's more biographical. Typically this is more quick, 15, 20 minutes, and I really want to go in depth with you a little bit more, perhaps on the other show that I have in the future. And I'm hoping that I'll set that up with Ginny afterwards. But
Sure.
that's why I'm focusing more on the song and less about you, because I want to focus more about you then, and I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, you've already said you kind of read through some stuff that I've done as far as my history of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can cover a lot of stuff. Interesting stories, definitely a lot
Yeah,
of interesting.
and that's why I want to have you on the other side too, because I just think it would be a really interesting time with you and chatting with you about songwriting and all the cool stuff you've done. But this is about the single, and the single's kicking ass. And you talked about how many artists there are. Like, first of all, Texas is huge. So like, if you guys are watching from outside of Texas and you hear me getting excited about a single that's number 71, and you're probably like, well, that's we don't talk about singles that are number 71 on Billboard. Why is this important in Texas? Well, I'm going to try to explain. Texas is number one. It's a big state, and the musical infrastructure in this state is so solid. There's so many decent charts and hundreds of radio stations, from terrestrial and internet radio, and so many different things, syndicated shows like Randy was talking about. And there are legitimately hundreds and hundreds of artists that have singles out at any given moment. So when you are 71 in the state of Texas, you are doing something. That is impressive. And personally speaking, I think that's more impressive than being top 50 on Billboard nationally, just because of how many there are here.
Well, I'll go one step further. When I started making records, I made my first record around 1976,
Wow.
and I had a disc jockey who was a friend of my dad's in Houston, and we were having lunch one day, and he said, being an artist, being a country artist from Texas is a really good feather in your cap. And I didn't have any clue as to what he was talking about. And he threw a number out at me and my dad. He said, I don't know if you realize it, but he said, well over 50% of the market share of country music sales is in Texas.
Yeah. Doesn't
Well
surprise
over,
me.
well over 50%. And
Yeah.
he He said, and if you include Oklahoma in that, you pretty much just knock just about everybody out of it.
And we're talking about before all that infrastructure, before all the charts, all the award shows, all the stuff that's here now. So, yeah, I mean, they've just capitalized on that. And it's such a burgeoning place for artists of all genres. So it's cool. When I see a single in the top 100, that is doing something. That's impressive to me. And because of I know how many artists there are. We do have our Randy's Pick of the Week. We'll talk about that real quick before we get into the music. And, man, what a great song Randy has chosen. So I give our guests the opportunity to pick a song, any song from anywhere in the world, from any era or genre. And Randy has picked Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World, which, of course, another iconic song. Out of all the songs in the world, Randy, why is this the one you wanted to feature this week?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One reason is because I sang this song one time, and a woman who I didn't know ended up being my wife because she heard me singing it.
Oh, there you go.
She said it saved her life. The other reason is because I probably am glad that I didn't write this song, because if I had, I would have quit writing songs after that. I would have said, there's no way I can ever do anything that's ever going to top what this song says. So that's why it's like my top pick, because it would be my career-ending song if I had written it.
Yeah. So it's very serendipitous that you chose this song, and the fact that it is on today, because this song is it's kind of a new thing, right? It means babies to me, and spring and seedlings, and like everything feels new with this song. Like, it's so hopeful. And the reason why I think it's very serendipitous is because I became a grandfather again this morning.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. So I'm hoping I can get through this song without crying tonight, Randy. You better not do it to me, man.
Let me just say, this is what I tell people whenever I play this. I go, folks, there are songs about Christmas. There are patriotic songs. There's songs about holidays like Easter. But, there's one song that belongs in Thanksgiving. It's Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
What a Wonderful World.
Absolutely. Randy, I appreciate you hanging out with me today, man. I'm going to be in touch with Ginny to set up something more biographical, more in depth with you. I think we'll have a good conversation in the future.
Great.
All right, man. I'll catch you later, and we'll get into the music. You have a good night, man. All right, guys, we are going to get into the music now. We have two songs. Obviously, we have the one that we've been talking about with Randy, the iconic Cats in the Cradle, and then we're going to get into his pick of the week, What a Wonderful World, by the incomparable Louis Armstrong. But let's get into the music. Here is number 71 in Texas, the current single from my friend Randy C. Moore. Here is Cats in the Cradle.
A child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in a usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away, and he was talking for a new, and as he grew, he said, I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know I'm gonna be like you. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, Daddy, don't know when. We'll get together then, Dad. You know we'll have a good time then. Son turned 10 just the other day. He said, thanks for the ball, Dad, come on, let's play. Can you teach me to throw? I said, not today. He looked at me, he said, that's okay. And I heard him say as he walked away, he said, I'm gonna be like him. Yeah, you know I'm gonna be like him. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, Daddy, don't know when. We'll get together then, Dad. You know we'll have a good time then. Well, he came from college just the other day, so much like a man, I just had to say, son, I'm proud of you. Can you sit for a while? He shook his head and he said with a smile, what I'm feeling like, Dad, is to borrow the car keys. See you later, can I have them, please? And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, sonny, don't know when. We'll get together then, a good time then. Long since retired, my son moved away. Called him up just the other day. He said, I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I could find the time. You see, the new job's a hassle, the kids with the flu. But it's sure nice talking to you, Dad. It was sure nice talking to you. And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, sonny, don't know when we'll get together then, Dad. You know we'll have a good time then. We're gonna have a good time then, Dad. We're gonna have a good time then.
This wraps up episode number 54 of Tunesday Tuesday, presented by the Boston Chris Show here on Twitch and Facebook. Thank you guys so much for watching live. I want to let you guys know where you can follow along with our special guest this week. It is randycmoore.com. randycmoore.com. So make sure you follow along with everything he has going on. He's on most of social medias as well. So find him, follow him, go out and see him at a live show, stream all the music, and call and request Cats in the Cradle to any radio station that you listen to on the regular. Next week, guys, on, let's see, what is next week? It is November 25th. It is going to be the week of Thanksgiving. We have young artist Dylan Reese at 6 p.m. and pop artist Kat Thompson. She's actually a dance artist. I think that'll be the first time we've ever had a dance genre of music on here on the show. So it's going to be fun talking with Dylan and Kat next Tuesday. Make sure you tune in. And thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I will catch you guys down the road.